I absolutely love fall and winter gardening, and this year was one of my favorites. It stayed warm until the middle of January, so I was able to get several cut and come again harvests from my leafy greens. Here is my final harvest before we got our hard freeze. I harvested as much as I could so that I could store some, use some fresh, and I juiced some of the leaves as well. I decided during this freeze that I wasn't going to try to save everything like I've done in the past. It's just never worked out. So I just harvested as much as I could and I left the rest to fend for itself. I covered 2 kale plants that I just didn't want to lose. I love having fresh kale. So this is what my final harvest looked like. And the next day we got snow. And it stayed below freezing for about 3 days straight. So not much is even left in the garden right now. So now I'm just excited about getting my focus shifted over to starting my spring garden. So I have all my seed starting supplies set out here. There's some sand. There's my Jiffy seed starting mix. I love this Jiffy seed starting mix. I use it every year and it's worked well for me. I have a tea kettle here because I mix the seed starting mix using boiling hot water. And so hopefully that will help to kill some of the fungus gnat eggs that are in this that could be in this soil. It's not foolproof. So this year I'm experimenting with another option to also help with fungus gnats in the seed starting mix. So here I'm just pouring in some fresh seed starting mix and then I'm going to pour the boiling water over it to help get it moistened up. And so what I'll do is I'll pour it in there. I'll stir it and I'll let it sit for a while so that it can soak in, and then I can determine exactly how much more water I need to pour in. So I'll pour the first kettle, I'll stir it for a while, and you can tell when it starts to moisten because you can see that it starts to change color. It goes from this light brown to a darker brown color. And I like to see that it changes color all throughout the mix, and then I can know that it's thoroughly moistened without any dry spots in it. Now, I don't want it wet like mud. I just want to make sure there are no dry spots in my seed starting mix. If you start with dry seed starting mix, it's hard to get it moist and hard to keep it moist. So if you are not staying on top of your watering, it will easily dry out. So here you can see that it's all dark brown and you can see how it clumps up on the spoon. And so this is mixed exactly how I like it. So now I'm just going to let it cool off before I put any seeds in it because you can see it's still smoking from the boiling water, and then it'll be ready to use. This year, I'm also experimenting with using neem seed meal to help ward off fungus gnats, and also it's a mild fertilizer, 6:1:2 fertilizer ratio. So that's a bonus that it'll have fertilizer for the seedlings as well. I'll caution you that it does have a strong smell, so you may or may not want to use too much of it. Now it's time to get my hydroponic systems cleaned up. I used these to start my fall garden and I didn't clean them up after. I just had them sitting around. And so this is what they look like when they sit uncleaned for a while. So I want to show you how I get them cleaned up and looking like new and ready to start my spring seedlings. I'm cleaning these out in the tub, and I start by laying all of the pieces out. Now, the pump and the cord on these, I'm not sure if it can be removed. They do have a screw, but I don't remove them. I just make sure that I don't submerge the whole system in water. So I start by filling up the systems with some warm water so that it'll start to dissolve any of the old roots or any debris that's left in the system. And then I'll add a little bit of dishwashing liquid so that it can further soak and break up any dirt that's left behind. So then I'll put the seed starting trays back on top to also help clean some of the roots that are left on the bottom of those tray tops as well. And so after I get that filled up, I'll let them sit for a while and I'll go ahead and start cleaning off the top of the system. I'm cleaning the tops with just a soft cloth and some of that same soapy water that's on the inside. You don't want to use anything that's too abrasive, it may scratch the tops. It's not hard to get it cleaned off, you just apply a little pressure and it usually comes off pretty easily. Soaking the seed starting top usually helps to loosen up all of the roots that are stuck to the bottom, but it doesn't remove them all, and it's hard to get them with just using a cloth. So what I found is that using a toothbrush helps to get into all the little crevices on the top and on the underside of the system. You can see here the roots that are left on the bottom of the system. They're softened up and they're easily just wiped away. But the toothbrush really helps to get into each little corner and just pull it right out of there. So after I've loosened them up, I'll also use the shower head and just spray anything else loose that I can. After I finish with the initial cleanup, I then use 5 cups of distilled white vinegar and place that in the base, and that will help to disinfect and also clean out the pump. After I get the vinegar added, I let the system run for about 5 minutes, giving it time to circulate through the pump. After I poured the vinegar out, I did one last rinse with water and I let them sit overnight. And this is how they're looking now. All fresh and looking brand new and ready to be put to use. I'm going to use one of these to start my tomatoes, and I'm going to use the other to start my peppers. I have a few other larger hydroponic systems, and this is the same method I use to clean them as well. So I have them all cleaned up and ready to be used as well. And this is what my grow area looks like right now. All of my systems are cleaned and ready to be used. I even cleaned my shelves. I used a disinfectant wipe and wiped down all of the shelves and all of the bars and even the grow lights just to make sure I have a clean area to start my seedlings in. In my grow area, I keep fans to act as wind to make the stems of the seedlings stronger, a heat mat for warm weather veggies or flowers, and a humidifier for when we're running the central heat. The seed starting mixture we made was used to start a tray of flowers. I'll also use that same mixture when I pot up my tomatoes, my peppers, and any of my herbs. I live in Zone 8B now, North Texas, and this is the time I normally start all of my seeds indoors. So if you live in my zone and you start seeds indoors, it's time for you to start as well. So thanks for watching. Happy growing!